5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please do not change channel.
From Krypton Radio, brought to you by Famous Faces and Funnies and Off the Chain with Yvonne Mason, it's the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour, the Internet's premier pop culture talk radio show. You're tuned in, you're logged on, and now your hosts, GW Pomichter and Christian Basel. Who are you hanging with?
Hello, Krypton Radio. How are y'all doing tonight? Welcome to the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Christian Basel. How you guys doing tonight? Thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah, and we're here tonight, and we're going to chat about the brand new hit show on Amazon, Personal Space.
Amazon Prime, yeah.
Amazon Prime. March 2nd it drops, so if you guys haven't seen it yet, right after the show, go over to Amazon and watch this. This is a really cute, funny show. We loved this.
Yeah, if you're going to start binge watching, there's 28 episodes on Amazon Prime. Look up Personal Space. I got into it, and it is awesome.
We binged all 28. I don't want to say I don't have a life, but we binged 28 episodes in a day. So but it was funny. I was having a good time. And so we're here tonight, hanging with show co-creator and co-writer Dana Shaw, who y'all might know from her work on Echo Chamber and Classic Alice, and in 2018, an animated short, which is Multiplex 10. So she's been around here, guys. And we're also on the line with actress Nicki Clyne, who everybody knows from Battlestar Galactica, but she's been a sci-fi pop culture staple, doing parts in shows like Dead Like Me, Smallville, The Twilight Zone. I mean, she's part of our culture. So, Nicki, Dana, how are y'all doing tonight?
Thank you. Doing great.
Yeah,
Happy
I'm
to be
doing
here.
great as well.
Well, thanks for hanging with us, ladies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
All right, so I'm trying not to give too much away, so I'm going to use y'all's language.
Y'all's?
Yeah, because I'm in Florida, dude. I can say that. So
That even hurt my ears.
See,
As someone from Maryland, it is legit. He can say it.
yeah, I'm Florida. It's y'all's.
When Garrett says it.
Yeah. So, Personal Space is, for all of you out there on Krypton Radio, is a show about, I would like to say, a generational spaceship, a colonization ship, but it's really about a reality TV show that comes from the therapy sessions or electronic diary entries of the crew. And which one of you sick people came up with this?
That's Tom. That's got to be Tom.
Well, Tom and Zach and I were trying for a very long time to figure out a way to do a sci-fi web show in a way that wouldn't completely bankrupt us. So we hit upon the idea of using a fixed perspective camera, and doing it kind of log style, like, the Lizzie Bennet diaries, which made it so we only had to construct one set, or really half of one set, because you don't have to see what's behind the therapy computer. And we realized that the best way to get people talking was to make it so that there was someone for them to talk to. So that's where the therapy computer idea came from. And that way we were able to figure out a really good way to tell these people's stories without having to leave that room.
I thought it was great. It was kind of the Truman Show meets Space 1999. I felt like, wow, I feel bad for these people, and I know they're actors.
I kind of feel that the computer is more like Hal and Holly from Red Dwarf, that they got together and merged together, that this is the computer that they would have ended up with. And
yeah, this is a naughty computer. All of the rules would say don't share this, and it's being broadcast to us. So Nicki, you're leading a really cool cast. What?
Indeed.
Yeah. So, like I said, our people on Krypton will know you from Battlestar Galactica and other great ensemble pieces. But now you're helming this project. I mean, you're the commander. Well, you're trying to be. No spoiler there. Just saying.
Come on
She's trying.
now. Come on now. I'm the commander. I earned it fair and square.
I never
Red alert,
did.
she's commander.
Yeah. I never did work out. Did you
I guess you
keep
could say
the
I got
commander?
a promotion.
I was gonna say, did you keep the commander? I never did. Did she? You didn't. You didn't let him take away your commander stripes, right?
It's gonna let people. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just gonna let people watch and find
see.
out for themselves.
Yeah.
But needless to say, I did move up from being a knuckle dragger on the hangar deck, and that was a pretty good feeling.
She's had a very bright career.
Yes, stellar. One might say. I said it. The team here is laughing, but they're afraid to get fired. So,
She's young. She's ambitious. She wants to do the right thing.
So, Nicki, from Knuckle Dragon to commander of what has turned out to be a little bit of an unruly crew. What's that like? What's that journey been like for you?
Well, it's interesting because I was reflecting on the character's journey, and it was really cool to finally see the episodes one after the other, because when you're filming, you pack them together in such a way that makes the most sense using the different sets and things like that, so it's not necessarily linear. But as I was watching, I was realizing that there are some similarities in her arc to Callie's, where she starts off very wide-eyed and earnest and kind of eager to please, and has this kind of naivete about her. And as she starts facing more adversity, things don't go the way she wants, people don't live up to her expectations, you start to see kind of different layers of her character, which that where that led in Callie's case. Luckily, Personal Space is a comedy, so it's not quite as dark, but it's definitely interesting.
It is. It was a very interesting thing to see. Now, Dana, as you're writing, we're noticing your cast list. It's a who's who of sci-fi. And as you said, you put a single Campbell perspective to be able to do a science fiction show on a realistic budget. And yet you have sci-fi's who's who on board the ship. What's it like to try to write for all these guys?
Well, we realized, so this was not just me and it wasn't just Tom, it was a room of 5 people who were writing this. And we had originally planned to make this in a closet, essentially, like not anything with the same kind of depth of space to work with. It was just going to be like you sit in a chair in front of a wall. And then we started talking about, well, we really like how this series is coming along, and we want to know how we could further it, how we could really stretch the limitations of what we think we're capable of making. And part of that was we wrote with specific actors in mind. So Nicki's role of Gail Gartner, we specifically wrote picturing Nicki, and then went, well, she's never going to want to do it. Who else can we get? And then really lucked out in getting Nicki to work on this with us. So it's really been an incredible journey.
That is a fantastic story. And it leads me to my next question, which is, you guys have put the web to the best possible use. And we're finding that we exist because the internet has created opportunities for arts and entertainment. You guys, from conception to funding to distribution, have put the internet to use and the fans. So, Wow. By the way, thank you, because you guys are the reason that guys like us can do this.
Well,
Happy
Nicki,
to help.
Nicki, I have a question for you. When you started acting, you had some roles in other geekdom before you became Callie in Battlestar Galactica. You were in Dark Angel, Smallville, Twilight Zone, The Dead Zone. Was this something that you were pursuing when you were going into your acting career, or was this something that just landed in your lap? And are you yourself a fan of sci-fi?
Well, I have to say, I don't know if it landed in my lap so much as it was just, due to different coinciding circumstances, which one of them being that I lived in Vancouver and they filmed a lot of science fiction there. Right. So the ratio of science fiction productions was quite high. And I think I also had a certain edgier look at the time, kind of when I started out, I had this short punky hair, and I think that lent itself to some alternative type characters that might be more common on sci-fi. So it wasn't by any means intentional, because I went out for a lot of other things too, but I think that I probably suited the characters that were in sci-fi, and there were just way more productions in Vancouver. And I have to be honest, I feel so fortunate to have been welcomed and introduced to this world, because it wasn't something that I was super familiar with before. And I'm just really inspired by the community that surrounds science fiction. And as I've been introduced to more content, like whether it's novels or movies or stories, the way that science fiction is able to kind of challenge our current belief systems and think about the future or alternate realities in ways that I think are really important for us to understand our current reality, I think is so incredible. So I'm definitely a fan now, although I kind of came to it late. And there's actually a part that my character, Gail, in Personal Space talks about how I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a part in the story that I could very much relate to that has to do with this.
Now, before you took the role of Callie, were you aware of the classic series Battlestar Galactica, and did you know how much geekdom you were getting into when you took the role into the new series on the Sci-Fi Channel?
I had no idea.
Really? Okay, that's all right.
No idea. No, like zero.
Surprise!
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the old series, and I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I mean, I think there's different levels of it, because I don't know that any of us really knew what we were getting into, because there were other sci-fi shows that filmed in Vancouver, like Stargate and Andromeda. X-Files obviously was like the original. So I knew that they were around, and no offense to them, but I do think that Battlestar really forged a path for what could be done with sci-fi television, and so I just feel incredibly lucky that I happen to fit the part.
So do we. We feel very lucky that you and the whole cast brought Battlestar Galactica to life in a way that was dramatic and realistic and true to the original stories without being as campy as 1970s. So you guys did a great job.
Oh, come on. I like Lauren Green. Come on.
I love Lauren Green. I'm just saying,
no offense, Nick. I love the new series, but I'm a classic person too.
Yeah. Well,
I think they're both very great, well done for their time. Yes. I don't really think it's fair to compare them.
No, because I don't think you could do. I don't think some of the classic science fiction that is so beloved would be the same if it was done with a modern slant. They were, like you said, revolutionarily, they were able to do it with Battlestar Galactica. But if you tried to tell, and they have tried to tell Flash Gordon in a modern scene. It just doesn't work. That you need some camp. You need some of that classic styling. So you guys were able to do with Battlestar Galactica what's very hard to do. So they are both fantastic shows. Dana, you working with the Battlestar Galactica alumni, you had Tim Russ from Star Trek. I was enjoying the appearance of some Stargate cast. What your phone book rocks.
And I'm sorry, you have Kurt Yeager, who I'm friends with on Facebook, and I've interviewed him on another show, and I was just like, oh my god, this guy's wild. So
I saw Cliff show up, and I was just like, that's So I'm like,
collect the whole.
Collect the whole set right on this show.
Yeah, it's really incredible that we've been able to get all these incredible actors together, especially ones that are known for sci-fi, and put them all on this show. I think that really speaks to it's a testament to the strength of both the show and its the central premise, but it's also a real testament, I think, to Tom's force of personality and his ability to go into meetings with people and be able to say, like, hey, this is what we want to do, and it means a lot to us, and I think it's going to be really cool, and it would mean the world to me if you were a part of it.
So he just puts him in a room and says, look, I'm going to film this science fiction indie project in my garage. Would you guys like to come over and have some burgers? And these guys said yes?
Not quite. So once we got...
You wanted pickles on the burgers.
Once Nicki got on board, actually, we started realizing we can't shoot it in a closet because, oh my god, that would be embarrassing.
I can see that.
I don't do closets.
That's kind of what we figured. So
that was in her rider, no closet.
So we kind of figured, okay, well, oops, we accidentally got the person who we wrote the role imagining. Now what do we do? And that's part of why we were why we had to kickstart to make this incredible set that we wound up with. And from there, we were able to be like, okay, well, we have one person who has said that they believe in us. Hopefully that will help us get other people who believe in us too.
It certainly did.
And yeah, so a big part of it was knowing that we had Nicki's support and being able to move forward, being confident that at least someone knew what we were trying to do and wanted to do it with us.
Absolutely. Now, you did the Kickstarter campaign, and then after production, you went ahead and you launched on the web. We know Amazon Video March 2nd, but we also know you're doing a world premiere on ShareTV.com on March 9th. Yes. Mm-hmm. So is there a reason that you chose this distribution model as opposed to a more sort of that classic Hollywood distribution fight?
Well, we've been talking, we spent a lot of time talking about the way that we wanted to distribute this. Originally, our plan had been, 1 or 2 a week, dropped on a platform like YouTube maybe. Mm-hmm. And then we realized that we didn't have to do YouTube, and we looked into other options. And one thing that Share TV did for us is they were people who believed in us very early and were able to help make sure that our Kickstarter got off to a good place. So we were able to sign a non-exclusive distribution agreement with them. And unlike Amazon, they are not geo-locked, I think is the term. So we'll be able to use them to reach our fans who don't happen to be in the United States or the UK.
Wow, that is fantastic. It really is. We talk a lot on the show about the opportunities that have become available through digital media online. And you guys put every single piece of it together so perfectly. We'll be right. We have to go take a little bit of a break, and we'll be right back. And we're going to chat with y'all some more. I'd love to get some, final thoughts as we wrap up the hour. So stick around for a minute, guys. We'll be right back, and we're going to hear from a few of our friends and partners.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
The Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour on Krypton Radio, bringing you the very best in pop culture talk radio. Each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour with your hosts GW Pomichter and Christian Basel, who are hanging with rising pop culture newcomers as well as superstar icons. The Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour. Tune in Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Who are you hanging with?
Greetings, true believers. This is absolutely, positively not Stan Lee, reminding you that you are listening to Krypton Radio. Krypton? That's the other guys. It's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. Excelsior!
All right, we're back, and we are here hanging with Nicki Clyne, Dana Shaw, hanging with Web Show Radio Hour host Christian Basel. I'm GW Pomichter, and thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. So we were just talking about your use of digital media from the beginning. How long did your Kickstarter campaign last?
It just lasted a month. Yeah.
Just 30 days?
It felt way longer.
Like an eternity. Please, somebody give us money.
Yep.
Yes. So, did you guys meet your goal? That was the one piece of research I didn't get over there to see. Did you guys meet your goal? Were you happy? Were
yes.
you happy with the outcome?
They've got a series.
Well, they got a series, yeah. But meeting that goal that you tell Kickstarter, I would like $1 million. That doesn't always work. But filmmakers make do. So.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we met our goal. We made a goal of $45,000. We surpassed that by about $4,500.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So obviously you got out of the closet. That kept Nicki on board.
Yes.
Or you let Nicki out of the closet. Once you had her on board, you just lock her in there in case you don't get the set, right?
Jeez. Did you sign up for that, Nicki? Yeah, was that the bonus plan?
Not sure.
She's not answering.
I would just like to state that Personal Space has never condoned locking people in rooms.
Nor has the Hanging with Web Show.
All about letting people out of the closet.
That's right.
Or at least letting them choose to lock themselves in there for 25 years.
Wow, this show
time.
went in a whole different direction.
Now, I'm bringing this up because it was something I talked to Tom a lot with. I'm sorry to take this on a sad note, but I wanted to interject something here. A year before you guys started filming, I was invited with a team of mine to go to a convention called InfinityCon. And interesting enough, the all-star cast of InfinityCon was Battlestar Galactica. They even had Edward out there. I'm like, how did Edward get out here? So they had Edward James Olmos and Richard Hatch, and unfortunately, that would be the first and last time I would see Richard. Great guy and a wonderful gentleman. He talked a lot with me, and he did express that he was going to come on the show, and Tom and I were arranging that, and unfortunately, he did pass. What was your first impression when you first heard that Richard Hatch had passed away?
Oh, wow.
Well,
Yeah.
And I know, Nicki, you wrote it on your blog, so wow, it was very touching for Richard.
yeah, it was a beautiful memorial for him. So this is a little bit removed, I will say. I knew that Tom was very, very happy to have worked with Richard. And I know that he had hoped for a long and healthy partnership with him for future work and, you know, potentially future seasons and whatnot. And I think we all felt the pain of that cut short. I feel like none of us felt like we got enough time with him.
No.
Yeah. Nicki, you worked with Richard back with BSG, and we saw some of your photos and things, and y'all had a good relationship. Just to, you know, because that's what we do, and Christian brought it up. So, how did you do with that as your last project? What's your? I tell you what, let's bring this back over where there's a smile. Working on Personal Space with Richard again. What's the best memory you have working with Richard again? What's that thing that's going to stick with you now that Richard can?
Well, there's one thing, and I might have to look it up to get the language accurate, but I took these funny photos of him in the harness when we were filming the zero gravity scenes. Yeah. And the poor guy, he was so uncomfortable. He didn't know what was going on, or at least I didn't think he didn't know what it was. He thought, you know, it was something with his stomach, and it was so, I know it was hard, but he is such a professional and just gives it his all. And I sent him some photos through Facebook. So I just opened it up on my phone. And his first response was, "Wee," which is something that he always said. He used to say that. He used to say that in person and in writing. He liked it.
Wow.
I wrote, "I look like the flying nerdy boy, LOL." And he just, and then wrote some kind words, which he always had for everyone. So I have that, and every time I was with Richard, and I've said this many times, and I think other people have their own versions of this, but he was always trying to find out what people cared about, what they were passionate about, and if there was anything that he could help them do to inspire them to take greater leaps in that direction. If they had fears, how could he help them build confidence? If they had limiting beliefs about what was possible, how could he help them see possibilities? He was really so generous and so thoughtful in wanting to inspire people. It was really just always wonderful to be around him, and he had so much energy. And it was painful to see him in pain, because he was usually he usually had a lot more energy than he did on that shoot, and it was noticeable to me. But he certainly powered through.
Well, the consummate pro is anyone you can hang on a wire at 70 years old.
Oh my God.
That's
oh my God. And go wee!
And go wee!
How many E's did he input for that wee?
Oh, wow. That's a great story, though, and it's a great example of what it was like to work with Richard, and we're glad you shared it with us. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. Personal Space, Dana, now, in addition to Personal Space, we know you write for Parcast.
I do, yes.
Who is, again, taking digital media by storm, elevating the level of podcasting and internet broadcasting. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, Parcast is a podcast network. We focus on scripted entertainment, and we have currently a bunch of history and mystery and true crime, and we're branching into some fun fiction stuff right now. So, like, our new show Tales is dark retellings of fairy tales, and it's been fun. I've been full time with them for a little over a month now. just starting to see the episodes that I helped some writers with coming out, which is very exciting.
I think it's fantastic. In addition to being a new outlet for journalists like myself, but internet radio, podcasting has breathed new life into the historical radio show, into radio fiction. And
in a big way.
In a huge way. Whether it be rebroadcasts of classic radio shows, I actually listened to The Shadow not long ago on the internet.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome. I was like, wow, where else? You can't get that anymore. And so you guys we saw on the Parcast website that you guys are doing that with a lot of different things. So you're bringing the radio shows back to the internet.
We're really trying to, yeah.
That's fantastic, really. We started the show with the principle: inspire to great things, inspire others to great things, aspire to great things yourself, and always create. And you guys live that every day, and so that just stuck out to us, and that's fantastic. So guys, so let's kind of chat a little bit more. 28 episodes are out there for Amazon Prime viewers. What's next? Please tell me season 2 is coming, because you guys left in a really cool place. So, yes.
I would love for season 2 to be coming.
Me too. Internet, listen to what she's saying. She wants season 2. Give it to her. And me, and Christian, and...
Is the Kickstarter already out for series 2?
No, it's not.
Where can I let you take my money?
Trust me, we will have season available shortly.
I don't think Dana or Nikki need a Kickstarter to take your money, sir. I think it's just...
No, it's pretty easy. Just,
I have a PayPal.
There you go.
I take cash.
Take cash.
Anything that looks like,
Dana, as a writer, I know myself, we love when we're able to turn a good phrase. So, do you have a favorite line or a favorite piece that you worked on during Personal Space? Anything that stands out as when you sat back in your chair and went, that's going to work?
Okay, I'm so glad that you asked me this, because there is one line that every time it's about to come up for about 5 minutes, I giggle until I cry. And I'm the only person who finds it this funny, which is the case of most of my jokes. But
welcome to my world.
It's in episode 6 with the birthday party. And it's Richard Hatch's character, King, Commander King. And he says, it's supposed to be a going away party, or rather a go away party. I'll wait for laughs.
No, I did. I like that. I did.
I love that. I love that line.
It did, because it encapsulated like the whole first section of the season. It was the struggle to determine what to do with Commander King, or about Commander King. It's sort of a sci-fi. What about Bob? What do we do with him? God. So that's a funny line, and I'm glad that it made you laugh. Nikki, as a performer, you get handed these lines, and it's, again, like you said, a little bit outside of the sci-fi wheelhouse that you're accustomed to. So you have a lot of funny stuff. So
locked in a closet.
In a closet. We're not letting you out of that closet tonight. Christian, let her out.
It's a walk-in.
It's a walk-in. Oh, okay, good. Lots of room, space. Personal space.
I'll do the best for Nikki.
Best line. What was your favorite moment there for your character?
I'll have to think. I just want to say something quickly about Richard's lines. I think there was something really kind of bittersweet about all of those. Like, there were so many clever, beautiful scenes that he had where he's really struggling, doesn't want to give up command, doesn't want to leave, and just knowing his fate, if you will, like having that in the background as you watch made it so much more poignant and a layer of sadness that obviously that was not expected in any of the writing,
side,
but
on this side, as the viewer, we really felt that, I think, because he was delivering lines about kind of, going back to sleep. And, in the show, 29 years, but it's virtually forever. And of course, he's delivering these lines and you're thinking, wow, how profound at that moment. So, wow.
Yeah.
Nicki got really deep on
I
there.
felt that too.
Nicki went really deep. We did like a Barbara Walters thing.
Silly line. I really, right. Hey, maybe that's my next gig. I don't know if I have a favorite line. I'm kind of one of those people where I have really good short-term memory, which worked well for what we had to do, which was memorize lines very quickly. Like I would kind of look at the script and then download it to my brain, and then Tom would tell me what's happening. And then I would talk to the camera. And I pulled that off, but I don't know that a lot of them have really stayed with me. Like I'll cram for the test and then it's gone. I don't know. Dana,
you can have a pass.
Gail Gardner.
Yeah, you can have a pass on account of you made us all cry with, talking about Richard's lines. So, okay, you get a break there.
I do have a fun moment
good.
I like where so throughout the whole series, and I don't think this is enough to be a spoiler, but I struggle every time I go into the therapy room to open the doors. Like they're always like I'm having to push them and they close on me, and it's so annoying. And then when the captain comes in, he claps and they open, and then there's this realization I have that's possible.
The first scene that I saw where that happened, it was Tim, and he turned around and did the clapper, and the door slid open, and I about fell out of my chair.
Wait a minute. Yeah. After all of us have been like squeezing through, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was, I about fell down thinking, really? And of course the idea, again, I think us as fans, we tend to look at you guys and especially on screen and see, the characters that are beloved. And so my first, view in, personal space of the clapper for the door was watching Tuvok clap. And I went, what? Really? So
clap on.
Yeah, exactly. Dana, you did a lot of work writing for the show, and but actors are known to come off beat once in a while, especially very experienced actors like the ones that you were fortunate enough to cast. So, any great ad libs you can remember, the cast bringing in and leaving with you and going, wow, why didn't I think of that like an hour ago?
Let's see. So, I think probably my favorite improv lines were in a teaser, actually. And it came out, I want to say, a couple days ago. It's at personalspace.tv. And it's under there as Barely Recall. And it is Kurt Yeager and Sean Persaud's characters of Leonard Freeman and Stan Blazkowicz. And they are getting high and talking about the Berenstain Bears. Or Berenstain Bears, depending on what reality you live in. And they improvised so well for the end of that scene where it's just supposed to kind of taper off and have them not realize what's going on anymore. And their improvisations for that had us dying. we also had a moment of improvisation in, I want to say, is that episode 25? It's the one that takes place entirely on the Earth side with the Earth side team. Julia acts, and she went off script toward the end and started. I won't give it away, but she went off script, and it was so funny that we ruined multiple takes because we were laughing.
It is. If you're a creative artist, your creation should be fun. It should be a passion. So it's great when your actors and your cast and your crew can create memorable moments on set, not just on screen. So that's kind of a lot of fun to see. And Christian, I haven't heard from you in a while. So
I know, I'm listening to the ladies.
Yeah, well, no, me too. But every once in a while, we have to pretend like we're here. So, if you could put the remote down,
just give us a little heavy breathing.
Something. Oh, don't ask him for that, ladies.
We'll put you in the closet.
About me. Oh my goodness. Never mind. Well, here's something off to the side here, and if you folks have not been to it yet, it's NickiClyne.com, spelled NICKICLYNE.com, and you were referring to the memorial, the blog, and I had a question for you. What made you decide to write the blog? And I've read a couple I've read a couple of entries and stuff, not too many, but very passionate stories in there that you tell. And what do you want from your audience and readers to come away with it when you talk to them?
That's a great question. I think sometimes I'm surprised when people say that they've read it, which is silly because obviously I'm putting it out there because I hope people will read it. But
oh, you're like me on Facebook when I post something and when I get 15 likes, I got 15 likes for that picture. Yes. You love me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think when I read people's essays or books or, even just when people are interviewed, something that really moves me is just when they share parts of themselves that I can relate to and connect with, and I guess for lack of a better expression, feel less alone by sharing in sort of a universal experience. And writing helps me quantify those feelings for me. Like when I'm trying to make sense of, things that I'm going through, writing kind of helps me process it. And for whatever reason, sometimes that just comes out in what I think looks like a blog post. So then I'll post it. And I've received such beautiful feedback, not a lot, but enough that makes me think that it might be valuable to people to read, to feel, that they maybe can relate to some of my experiences and maybe even understand them better, because sometimes being able to express them or put words to describe them can help us process feelings. So yeah, I've gone through some adversity, just basic stuff like losing people, that writing has really helped me kind of understand myself better through it too.
I can see your heart.
So I hope that it's something that we'll find moving.
Well, no, I see your heart pouring out in every entry that you put in there, and there's not that many, but the ones that you have in there, they're heartfelt. You're telling a story, you're telling a moment in time, and I was like, I really appreciate that. I really do love reading those. But yeah, definitely if you want to check it out, NickiClyne.com. You can also go to her shop, but she's run out of the "Oh my God, they've killed Callie" shirts for the men, so I'm not happy about that.
Oh yeah, I need to find some new screen printers. The guys that I used for those don't do it anymore. So if I find some new screen printers to do it, I'd be happy to make more. They're really fun.
Our good friends over at 8-Bit Fusion, guys, job opportunity. Just saying.
Hey, connectors.
Connectors, okay. So Dana, Nicki hit on something really important as a writer, and maybe you could talk a little bit more about this. The writing process and writing to share a connection. And so Personal Space takes place as, from our perspective, a reality show. And I find as a writer that you really can't pick on something unless you have a certain love for it. So who in the family's the reality show fan?
Well, that's a complicated question. I will say that I belonged to a sorority in college, and in the sorority house, though I didn't partake very much, let me be clear, there was often reality shows just on the television. It was either reality or House.
Reality or House?
House, like Dr.
Like
House.
Dr. House? Oh,
yeah, Dr. House. That's what I thought. I was like, what did you go
I
to
would have been
medical
over
school?
that sorority.
Yeah,
I would have been over that sorority at night.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. So I have a lot of friends who really love reality shows, and though I do not necessarily also love them, I understand what it is about them that my friends love. And Tom and I actually did get very, very, very invested, surprisingly so, in a reality show that happened a couple years ago called The Quest, which is phenomenal. It is 12 people who are competing to become like the hero of the land, and they have all been transported to a fantasy castle in, I assume, Austria or Germany, because where else are fantasy castles?
Yeah.
And they have a bunch of the special effects and costumes people from like the Lord of the Rings movies.
Wow.
So yeah, we got super invested, and I regret nothing, except that there hasn't been a second season.
Reality TV for geek culture.
Yeah, finally.
That's right. No, it was great. Now, but again, as a writer, and to the more serious question, writing is often about showing people the connections between human beings. And what were the challenges of doing these essentially monologues, or the dialogues between the alley computer and the characters, to making sure that those characters connected with the audience?
Well, I think the big challenge is that they're so, in the way that we see them, they are so disconnected from one another. We don't see very much of the characters interacting in the same room. We see a lot of reaction. We see a lot of people reacting to things that have happened, reflecting on relationships that are built mostly away from what we can see. So our biggest challenge was making the connections between the characters really tangible.
Well, I think the way you chose to do that, by disconnecting them, was actually both creative and effective, because isn't that what we do when someone, does something we don't like? We nod and we go, yeah, that was cool. And then you walk away and you go, God, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
And we got to see the opposite side of that conversation.
I just want to make a comment.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I didn't get to work with the other actors until I did all my kind of monologue scenes to the computer. So I think a real tribute to how well written and well cast it was is that I had my imagination of what the characters were and kind of what had transpired that led me to have the lines that I did in my monologues. And when it came time to interact with the other actors and do our scenes as our characters together, there were, it just fit perfectly what I had in my mind. So I think they were so specific and well written and well cast that it was easy to imagine from what was on the page, kind of like what we were working off of in our therapy sessions.
Yeah, wow. It was. I think when we first started the show here, the first 2 episodes or whatever, as Dana alluded to, everybody seemed very disconnected. But as the story progressed, we could see in the monologues the connections that were actually there. And that was a phenomenal piece of writing. My hats off to all of you, and Dana and your whole team. So we've got about 5 minutes left in our recording. So Dana, Nicki, any final thoughts about Personal Space or anything in particular?
Well, I will say this, which is that we've been throwing the number 28 episodes around a lot. They are like 4 to 6 minute episodes, so they are not a huge time commitment.
Yeah, no, it's not. We made fun early in the episode about binging all 28, but it was really like watching 3 episodes of a full 1 hour show. So, they're great little episodes. They are. I didn't take time to count because I literally got into the story, but they seem like they're connected in 3 or 4 episode arcs, if you will, where something is going on. Which brings me over to Nicki. Did you ever show up on the set one day with a new script for your conversation with Allie and say to yourself, "I did what?" Because I did that a couple times with your character.
Well, luckily I had read the script before I showed up to Los Angeles, period, to film. So there weren't many surprises in that way. But I love doing comedy. I mean, I know we've talked about that I've done mostly sci-fi, but I would love to do more comedy, and I think curveballs just make it all the more fun and challenging and inspire you to be creative. So I was totally game for anything. Even closets. I'll just put it out there. You know what?
Those contract negotiations are over. Okay, we've got about 3 minutes. We've got a little bit of housekeeping here. So, Christian, how about you? Any final thoughts for the ladies?
Well, I was going to say, do you, any one of you two have any upcoming projects that we need to be aware of? And you can also follow Nicki and Personal Space on Twitter, and I believe both of you are on Facebook as well.
I'm also on Twitter too, yeah.
And Twitter as well there. Do you either one of you have any upcoming projects?
I have a couple indie films that will be coming out hopefully soon, but I would say just follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and I'll update when I have news.
Do you still do the con circuit? I'm assuming you need to come to Florida, both of you, and bring Tom with you. And bring
definitely.
We'll see what we can do. Yeah.
Okay. I want to say this right now, Garrett, as a gift to the ladies and the whole team, both cast and crew, because I found a 10 behind my sofa. The Hanging with the Web series will be happy to contribute to the next Kickstarter for Series 2.
Oh, absolutely. We're waiting.
Wonderful.
For it. We're waiting for it. We can't wait.
We spearhead that.
We love the show. We really did. You guys can find more information about Personal Space online. You can check out Facebook at Personal Space, Twitter at personalsp_CE. Check them out at personalspace.tv, over at Share TV on March 9th, sharetv.com. And of course, right now, right after the show, you can go over to Amazon and already binge the whole thing and enjoy the show. I'm GW Pomichter. Don't forget, for more great interviews with creative artists, tune in daily at hanginwithshow.com for our video episodes, and come back every week to Krypton Radio every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I'm GW Pomichter.
And I'm Christian Basel, and we were always asking, who are you hanging with?
That's right. Remember, guys, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next.